Hello entrepreneurs, welcome to NOBOSS TV Discussion 16. Let's get started. In the previous discussion, you started working on building your brand. And in this discussion, you're going to make it official with licensing and other registrations. Now, every business is required to have some form of licensing, including the home-based businesses or an online-only business. And I say that because even if in your city or state, even if it doesn't require your sole proprietorship to have a license because of the type of business you're in, you're still going to need something to open your business bank account, something to register your state to pay sales tax, or if you're hiring employees, when you file for your federal employer identification number, you're probably going to need some type of licensing registration number when you're filing out that application. Therefore, it's only wise to just go ahead and investigate each level of licensing and to determine which requirements may apply to your specific business. So let's start with the federal licensing and permits. If your business is involved in any activities that are supervised or regulated by the federal government, you'll need to obtain a federal license and permit for any of these items. So you may not think that you're going to need it, but just take a moment and see if maybe your business applies. If you're going to import or transport animals or plants, if you're going to manufacture, wholesale, or sell alcoholic beverages at a retail location, if you're going to operate or maintain an aircraft or transport goods or people by air, if your business will manufacture or import firearms, ammunition, or explosives, which I believe fireworks also applies under this one, if you have anything related to wildlife, if you provide ocean transportation or any type of cargo that's moving by sea, if your business will be drilling for natural oil or minerals or gases on federal land, if you're going to produce or dispose of nuclear material, if your business will be broadcasting by radio, television, or cable, and if your business will operate an oversized or overweight vehicle. With any of these, you know that you're going to need some type of federal licensing and permit. Now, when it comes to state licensing and permits, these are generally just related to your state tax identification, workers' comp, unemployment, or disability insurance. So if you're going to have employees, you know that you're going to need your state licensing and permits. Now, when it comes to county and city licensing, this varies by county and city, because some counties and cities don't require you to license because you're probably already registered with the state. So you'll need to contact your county and your city to see if you are required to have any licensing or permits for your specific business. Now, here's some certifications and resources that are actually to help you. Now, there are a number of available programs out there to assist startups, micro businesses, if you're underserved or if you're a disadvantaged business. These types of certifications could literally put your business in the front of the line for contracts, federal contracts, and opportunities just because of your eligibility. So if any of these special certifications identify your business, I strongly encourage you to look into them and determine what resources will help you. Visit these websites for more information about applying. Now, I'm going to give you some SBA.gov certifications and resources because they're consistent and they have been around for years, so funding is probably still there. They have an environmentally friendly green business resources, so if your business falls under that. Home-based business. They have a self-employment assistance program, an SEA allowance program. This program is designed to encourage you as an unemployed worker to create your own job by starting your own business. So what happens is, instead of getting unemployment, you're actually getting an SEA allowance. Now, this is a voluntary program by state. So to date, Delaware, Mississippi, New Hampshire, New York, Oregon and Rhode Island are currently participating in these programs, but certainly call your state and check to see if they have newly added themselves into this listing. If you're a minority-owned business, a veteran-owned, woman-owned business, there's loads of resources for you. SBA also has an 8A development program, which is actually twofold. The business development program can help you qualify as a minority-owned business, develop and grow. But they also have a sub-program, a subset program, and it's called the SBA Mentor Protege Program. So they take it a step further, where they pair mentor firms with you, the protege firm, to help you with managerial and technical assistance. I think they even have joint venture assistance, and this is after you're up and running and they've helped you develop and start up. Trademarks. A trademark is, or service mark, this is where you register your logo for if you want to register it as a trademark. It's a brand name, it's a symbol, it's something that distinguishes you from your competitors. But it's added protection for your business. And considering all the work you've done so far, I'm sure you can understand why it's really important for you to consider that. Now, you don't want to end up like AT&T, who never registered the Yellow Pages logo. So when something happens a year from now, 5 years from now, and your logo is infringed upon, and you find yourself in a battle, all because of an oversight, you just never bothered to register your logo. You got to believe in your company and know it could be far bigger than you've even imagined. And you come up with a great logo, you may find yourself infringed upon if you're not trademark protected. Same thing with patents. A patent protects your intellectual property, granted by the U.S. government if you are an inventor. It protects your intellectual property, stops others from making it, using it, offering to sell it throughout the U.S. So this is really important if you have something, an intellectual property that needs to be patented. However, the patent's probably around $200. But if you need to have a patent, make sure that you get the right one, because there are 3 different types of patents. You have a utility patent, a design patent, and a plant patent. But make sure that you get the right one. For some reason, people often confuse the utility and the design patent. The process could take a couple of weeks, so the last thing you want to do is start a process on the wrong patent. Copyright protection. This is for work that you create as well as the patent is. The copyright protection is granted by the U.S. Copyrights Office. It's for literary work, it's for music, it's for dramatic scripts, it's for choreography, motion pictures, sound, architectural drafts. As a side note, it is perfectly acceptable to mail yourself original works, never opening and never breaking the seal. So in the event that there's a copyright infringement upon you, you have that postage dated, stamped, unsealed, or unopened sealed envelope as proof that that original work belongs to you. Which brings me to a reason for failure: not considering that international copyright protection. Remember, I said that's the U.S. government offering you copyright protection in the U.S. So if you plan to do business internationally with copyrighted material, know whether your product is protected internationally and whether you are in violation if you ship your product internationally, because you could rack up some pretty hefty fines if you find yourself in international copyright violation. Insurance. I know you're a small business, probably a brand new business, but there are a few insurances that I want you to be aware of, even if you can't get them immediately upon starting your business. The first is general liability, which is pretty self-explanatory. But the professional liability protects you in the case you're sued for negligence, even if you did not make a mistake. And that's really important. The next is errors and omissions. Now, this also protects you from negligence, but it also protects you from failure to perform professional services. So if you're sued for negligence or sued for failure to perform professional services, that will fall under your errors and omissions policy. But check with your insurance agent to see, do you need both the professional liability and the errors and omissions? Because they both protect you if you're sued for negligence. But the errors and omission has the additional failure to perform professional services. The other one is business owner's policy. This is additional coverage from the initial liability, but it's additional coverage for the business owners, your personal property. And then you have a property liability protection, which is for your business furniture and your business equipment, which includes any accidental damage on a few different locations. So I definitely wanted you to be aware of those. Industry requirements. Now, there's always a possibility that certain industries have specific requirements in which you must comply. Just like the medical industry has, you have to have state board licensing if you're in the medical industry. Just like if you're driving certain kind of vehicles, you can't have a regular driver's license, you have to have a CDL license. Construction industries, the marijuana industry or cannabis industry, plumbing industry, mortgage and real estate industry, all of those have licensing boards. So if your business is falling under any type of industry licensing, make sure that you comply. Because even though you may have, federal, state, county, city licensing, you still have industry requirements. So that don't forget about it and be aware of it. Professional services. Now, it's not required that any business has an attorney or a CPA or anything like that. However, again, it depends on your type of business. You may need an attorney to do some legal aspect of your business, or a CPA to do some aspect of your business, or a medical professional to do something for your business in order to bring your business to the public. If you need that, you really don't have a choice but to go to those professional services and get that done. You don't want to be under the guise of fraud or infringement or legal advice or anything like that. If you need legal, you need CPAs, you need medical. If those things need to be put into place for you to bring it to public and bring your product to public, that's what you just need to do. So that's going to be part of your startup budget to get those things in place. Now, when it comes to creative professionals, like your logos or any of your marketing material, of course you have the option of that. But what I will say about the creative professional services is, this is your first impression. This is the first impression for your customer about your business. So you really don't want that first impression to be not up to par. You don't want your marketing material to look like, paper doll cutouts. You really want everything to be professional as possible. I know personally, I've always had a rule of thumb. If I received a business card or a brochure or a letter or an email and it had a typo in it, I wasn't doing business with you. If you sent that to me as an introduction to your business and you didn't have the time or care enough to look for typos or crooked copies or anything like that, then what kind of service can I expect from you if that was your first impression? That's just a rule of thumb that I have. I don't know about other people, but it is really important. Don't slam bam and throw your information out there that way, because you're going to be perceived that way. And even if you get a customer, they're going to look at you in that way and never feel that your product or service is of any value. Even though they want it, even though they're paying for it, they're going to have that impression and they're going to treat you as such. So that type of thing is really important. And when you're small, the last thing you can afford to do is provide that product, provide that service, and go through the full cycle of that process and then have a customer come around and say, you know what, I just want my money back. Because that's cost for you. That means you just did all of that and you're in the hole. So when you're small, it's easy. It's easy for customers to try to take advantage of you because of the impression that they have of you. That's why I always stress being professional. I don't care who it is, family, friend, foe. If they want something that you sell, they need to pay for it just like anybody else. Here's your first task. Go ahead and start working on your agencies and your resources for your federal, state, county, city licensing, your industry licensing, any trademarks, patents, or copyrights. If you think you need it, go ahead and start pulling that information. At least get the forms ready, whether or not you're putting it in your budget. Your business insurance, if you need it, start getting quotes to find out how much is this going to cost me, which ones do I really need. At least find an agent that you can talk to, you can pick up the phone and ask questions with. And same thing with professional services. If you really don't have the knack for doing the creative aspects, your banners, your website, your social media pages, start looking at Fiverr. Start looking at some of these freelance websites and saying, you know, can you do this, this, and this, and how much? At least if you have an idea how much. If you can't do it now, you can get to it later. Go ahead and update your ideas, your licensing numbers, and anything that you've had to register for and all that confidential information. That's what NOBOSS is for you can have that information at your fingertips, because next month, a year from now, 2 years from now, you're going to need these numbers and you're going to start digging for papers. Enter that information in Workshop 1. Enter any costs as they relate to what we've gone over in this discussion. Enter that cost in your overhead budget, because remember, you're still working on your total startup cost. So any overhead costs for licensing, permits, registrations, trademarks, patents, insurance, or professional services need to go in that startup budget. This concludes discussion 16, and congratulations, entrepreneur, because you have just completed Workshop 1. So we've come a long way. We've covered a lot of information, and I just look forward to being part of your success. I look forward to hearing from you, any feedback, any questions you have. I will be working on Workshop 2 very soon. Workshop 2 is all about marketing. It's called Your Target, Marketing and Advertising. Click that like and subscribe button below, and remember, a real boss has no boss.